Good afternoon, my beautiful babes and babettes. I am your resident active advocate, and I would like to talk to you today about racism in The Lion King. I apologize, by the way, if you can hear what's going on overhead, and if you hear any colossal booms. They finally came back to finish the roof. Well, maybe finish. I don't know whether they're finishing today. But we will work through the outside. As long as I can talk louder than that, which I think I can. So, The Lion King and racism. I said that I would address this because there is a racist angle to this movie. There is also a gay coding angle to this movie. As we have seen with previous antagonists in Disney Renaissance movies especially, the antagonist of this movie, Scar, is rather flamboyant. Oh, I'll need to practice my curtsy, he says about his to-be-born nephew, or rather his nephew who has already been born, and Scar did not attend, like, the birthing ceremony kind of thing that the rest of the Pride Lands did attend. So there's that, but not only is Scar gay-coded, he is also racially coded. He is the brother to Mufasa, the king of the Pride Lands, the Lion King, as it were. Mufasa has a golden pelt and a reddish-brown mane. Scar has a brown pelt and a black mane. How is this genetically feasible if they're brothers? Simba also grows up to look very much like his father. Golden pelt and reddish brown mane. So, in terms of the lions themselves, even the protagonists and antagonists within the same family are set apart from one another due to coloration. Another aspect of the racial motifs in this movie are that Mufasa tells Simba, when Simba is still a cub, everything the light touches, referring to the light of the sun, everything the light touches is our dominion. But what about that shadowy place over there, says Simba. That is not part of our dominion. You must never go there, says Mufasa. The hyenas and other lesser hunters than lions live in that, quote, shadowy place. The hyenas themselves are voiced by actors who are either black or make themselves, quote, sound black through dialect and through a kind of accent. I don't actually know whether they were played by black actors. I should have looked into that before making this video. But an analysis of this angle has already been done, so that the hyenas are portrayed as less intelligent, for one thing. They're also portrayed, I hate to use this language, I really do, but they're portrayed more or less as thugs who are just interested in hunting the easier game and who eat carrion, which is an already dead animal that they haven't themselves killed. They're more than willing to eat Simba when he strays into their territory. They're more than willing to work with, again, the color-coded Scar in order to overthrow Mufasa, even though really there's nothing in it for them, because Scar is only interested in what will elevate his position. You see, once he has overthrown Mufasa, spoilers, that he is not interested whatsoever in the well-being of the kingdom itself. All he wanted was the throne. He just wanted the power, the prestige of being the king of Pride Rock, and to have all the other animals in the kingdom under him. Other than that, he's a very lazy ruler, and the Pride Lands also go to shit because the problem of overhunting takes place. An analysis I have heard of this is that if a lion or a pride of lions overhunts in their lands, the land will actually start to degenerate because you don't have things like herbivores, the antelope, the elks, things like that, migrating around and spreading seed and, helping the grass to grow by eating it, and actually the grass regenerates stronger if that is done. Lions are carnivores. They do not eat grass. They eat the antelope. That, by the way, is another analogy used in the movie to basically explain away systemic oppression of the other members of this kingdom. Mufasa says to Simba, we hunt the antelope, and then, when we die, though, we become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And so the circle of life, the anthem of the movie, the song for which it is probably best known, is called Circle of Life. In the introductory song, you could say that this refers to the sun, because the very first thing they sing about is the sun. But throughout the movie, the narrative goes that Mufasa says to Simba, we have to hunt. It is in our nature to hunt. And our subjects have no say in this. They're herbivores, we're carnivores. Carnivores eat herbivores. Herbivores eat the grass. When we, the carnivores, die, our bodies degenerate into the earth and become the grass, and the herbivores eat us. While in nature, yes, that is true, okay? In real life, real world nature, that is true. In the movie, it very much smacks of colonialism because it basically says our subjects have no choice in what we do to them, with them, and, quote, for them, in ruling over them. I mean, the antelope, the gazelle, they're very much aware that they are on the plate of the lion, shall we say, and yet they all have to come down on their knees and bow down to the baby Simba when he's born. This, to me, has a very colonialist narrative to it because just as an example, okay, the people of India, when India was colonized by the British, it was called the jewel in the British crown because India was so wealthy, especially in gold, that England just they took so much from that country, and the native people of India got so tired of it after a long time. But they didn't have the power at the time to overthrow the English. It wasn't until Gandhi came around and actually did his thing, by the way, through nonviolent resistance, that, England's grip on India began to loosen. However, there were problems back home for England as well because the world wars had weakened them. But the whole conceit of The Lion King is that our subjects have no say in whether they get eaten, i.e. stolen from, pillaged as a real world analogy, but in the afterlife, that is when reconciliation will happen. That is the Christian narrative. I'm not a Christian. I don't want to judge people who are. But if you use, don't worry, the bad people, the oppressors, will get their comeuppance in the afterlife, and the poor, the needy, the helpless, those who are made helpless by systemic oppression. If you use the afterlife as an excuse to abandon people now, to hurt people now, to steal from people now, you are not doing the right thing by your fellow humanity. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what kind of afterlife you believe in. I don't care whether you're an atheist and don't believe in an afterlife at all. If you use, eventually something bad will happen to the oppressors as your excuse, then you are not being a decent fellow human. That applies to The Lion King. As I say, in the actual real world natural course of things, yes, carnivores have to eat herbivores. It's in their nature to eat meat. They have to. They can't survive on plants. They can't digest them. But as an analogy in the movie, it really doesn't hold water because Simba, even as a young cub, is much more dangerous to a herbivore than a herbivore would be to him. And he is raised to believe that this is the perfectly good and natural and right course of things, and not to take it for granted that he is the strongest creature on the savannah. you know, it's the Lion King. It's the pride of lions. That is actually, again, in the real world, the name for a group of lions. You know, like a dog group is a pack, birds are a flock. You know, lions, though, they're called a pride. And throughout history, though, the lion itself has been taken as a very stately symbol for a lot of different countries. England, especially. England's animal symbol is a lion, right? And they were the great colonizers of the world at one point, up until, as I say, the World Wars. When they weren't exactly beaten down, like the Allied forces won the Second World War, as we all know. But, I mean, London was turned into a freaking parking lot by bombing. So it didn't go well on their side either. And that is partly what disbanded the British Empire, but there were other factors at play. And like I say, at least in India, Gandhi had his thing going on, and that was good. And, you know, like, the whole thing was falling apart anyway. But to use we are stronger, they are weaker, this is the natural course, the unavoidable course of things, as your excuse to oppress anyone else, that's not the right and Christian thing to do, is it? Don't read the Bible, by the way, because the Bible contradicts that everywhere, especially in the Old Testament. When people are making tracks out of slavery and into abundance, they also like to walk on the people they find along the way. Yeah, so don't read Exodus, Leviticus, or Deuteronomy or Numbers if you don't want a very good account of very bloody history, or miso history anyway. So yeah, this all does come down to us, by the way, from the Bible. You know, the people who are not us, we are more or less free to walk on them. We are more or less free, I put all this in quotation marks, by the way, to brand them as other and to see them as bad for their otherness. That's why Scar, even though he is the biological brother of Mufasa, is color-coded. And I mean C-O-D-E-D, by the way, not C-O-A-T-E-D. Because he's the bad guy. And that, to me, just screams racism, racial narrative in my face. And it's annoying, and I don't like that Disney did this for so long. Tomorrow, speaking of which, I would like to talk to you about racism in Pocahontas. I have done my research. Ooh, and the things I found. I was not a happy advocate when I read certain things. And that's going to be interesting. We're going to have fun with that. Oh, yeah. All right, so I will see you all tomorrow for that. And if I start to lose my shit tomorrow, be prepared and forgive me. But oh my gosh, it made my blood boil, some of the stuff that I read, especially this morning, actually. But yeah, I will see y'all tomorrow. Hopefully it's quieter overhead. As I say, if you could hear that coming through, I apologize. Not my fault. Hopefully they'll be gone by tomorrow. All right. See y'all tomorrow. Mwah.